the Bowels of Netflix, where your fearless co-hosts Isaac and Larry force each other to watch the worst pieces of shit on Netflix. We will go over every bad edit, all the broken dialogue, all the wooden acting, and laugh along the way, because this is the Bowels of Netflix! Alright, welcome to the Bowels of Netflix. I'm Isaac, and with me as always is my fearless co-host Larry. How are you doing this week, Larry?
Oh man, I'm great. I'm ready to go. I'm high energy, high octane. We're good to go. We're gonna go top speed, full cylinder. Keep going, pounding it. Bam,
Larry's
dude,
on coke.
boom, done, boom.
He's bing bang bong.
Fucking yeah, let's
Larry's
do
coked
it.
up.
I want to get this over with as soon
oh.
as humanly possible. This episode is going to be 17 minutes long.
17 minutes. I don't believe you.
It'll be a little
longer. Okay. Let's do it. We are the Bowels of Netflix. We're two friends who hate each other. And we make each other watch the worst movies we can find on Netflix.
Yeah, we're the Bowels of goddamn Netflix, motherfuckers. Fuck yeah.
You should send us an email, bowelsofnetflix@gmail.com. We'd love to hear your thoughts on these movies. If you have any experience with them, if you have any suggestions of movies that we should check out, we would love to hear it. Also, find us on Facebook, find us on Twitter. You know how to... We're the only Bowels of Netflix around. It's not hard. You can search us. You can handle it.
I looked today, and we were the only Bowels of Netflix I could find.
Also, rate and subscribe. We've been forgetting to say that because we're terrible podcast hosts.
Okay, yeah,
but
we do like really gloss over all this shit in the beginning and the end, which I think that's hilarious and want to keep doing it. But okay, for actual real, like, do some of this stuff, please. If you're listening to this show and like it. Like,
rate, subscribe, set us to download, write a review. If you write a review, we'll read it on air.
It's true.
Make it a good review.
I know the rate and subscribe thing is like a meme now because YouTubers are a big thing and they've been saying that forever. Look how fucking old I sound. But seriously, like, that's how we get traction. So that'd be awesome if you could do that.
Yes, and it matters a lot for us. Mumbo Jumbo doesn't need any more fucking subscribers, but we don't have any, so help. Please help. Yeah. We'd like to keep doing this and have it be fun and engaging, and
I'm gonna
not
do
just
this
two assholes talking into the wind.
I'm going to do this until the end of time or I blow out my brains, so I'm going to keep doing it, but you'll make my life a lot easier if you do these things that we kind of, gloss over.
Absolutely. Please do. And there was something else I was going to say. I can't remember. Should have written it down. I'm a terrible podcast guy. Let's get the business card put up. Oh yeah, we by the time you're listening to this, it is November. We had a record month for downloads in October. The numbers are still coming in because we're recording this a couple days before the end of the month. But we shattered our old record, and it's the most plays we've ever had. So keep it coming. Keep listening. Tell your friends.
It's a little mind-boggling. Isaac keeps updating me with the numbers, and I can't believe that many people have fucking listened to this pile of shit.
50 million.
It's 50 million.
Just this month. Yeah.
It's 50 million. And you know what the weird thing is? That's just from, like, Kansas. That's Kansas numbers.
Every person in Kansas has listened to every episode 10 times.
Yeah, exactly. So, looking at the rest of you. Idaho.
Nebraska. Sitting on top of Kansas like a little bitch.
Colorado. Tennessee. The South states that we're so respectful to. Like respectful I'm going to be today. In today's picture.
Oh,
Delta
what
Farce.
is today's picture?
It's Delta Farce, Isaac.
Delta Force?
Delta Farce.
Oh,
with an A.
So it's going to be funny.
It's kind of like Delta Farts. Farts. It's about as funny. Same
Do you have
sort
a lot of
humor.
fart jokes? I like fart jokes.
Also, I've decided to be as high octane energy as possible for this episode because it's that or the slow descent into madness of death.
Your nose is bleeding.
Honestly, it could be. I don't know what drugs are like because I've never done any, but I'm going to try and emulate it as much as possible and not pull my microphone off my desk like I almost did.
See, that sounds like someone high on some drugs.
Like a fucking gorilla. Jesus Christ. I jostled it a little and it flew across the desk. All right. Delta. I almost said Force.
Sorry. I've said that about my wife before. I jostled it a little and it flew across the desk.
Isaac, how's your wife?
She's lying on the floor.
Great, thanks for the update. Okay,
next
Delta
to the
Farce.
Oh, God, okay. Let's go.
Fuck yeah. Oh, God, I'm so ready for this. So ready for this. It actually wasn't that frustrating. So, Delta Farce, starring all the members of the Blue Collar Comedy Tour who didn't leverage their 15 minutes of fame into a successful career, along with Keith David, Danny Trejo, and for some bizarre reason, Garth from Supernatural.
Well, okay.
I've realized I actually do want to hear how your wife is.
Oh, she's lying on the floor next to the desk.
Oh, I mean, did she got water and like is the bowl full?
I don't know. Let me kick her. Yeah, she moved.
Someone's gonna call the police one day.
Probably.
Fuck. All right.
They probably should.
I can't believe they haven't yet with all these fucking 50 million views we've got. Views.
Oh,
I
yeah,
always say views. It's listens.
No, Kansas is a wife-beating state. We all know this.
Well, yeah, shots fired, Kansas. But yeah, I agree. We need to come up with a word that because I hate listen. Excuse me, I hate listens as a metric. I guess downloads. Need to come up with a word for listens that's better than listens because listens is a shit word.
Shittens.
No, bad, wrong.
No,
Try
that's
again.
Bad.
Just workshop it. All right, Delta Farce. So for those of you who aren't aware, there was a thing in the fucking early aughts called the Blue Collar Comedy Tour with 4 fucking comedians who were big into like rednecky style jokes. You had Ron White, who's a fairly successful comedian. Jeff Foxworthy, who's leveraged off in all kinds of different fame. He
does the smarter than a 5th grader thing,
yes,
right?
He's the house. Okay. He's the Are You Smarter Than a 5th Grader guy. And then 2 other fucking yahoos who've achieved nothing of value. And their names are Larry the Cable Guy and Bill Everett. And you've probably heard of Larry the Cable Guy, if nothing else, because he's a big fat sort of curiosity for like 3 years. But you've never heard of Bill Everett, and it's not even his name. It's Bill
Engvall, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
See, I didn't know his fucking name because who cares? It doesn't matter. His life is meaningless. His life literally means nothing.
To be fair, I was reading the Wikipedia page for Larry the Cable Guy, and he seems like a pretty nice guy.
Yeah, he actually seems genuinely...
Yeah, I think he just donated like $5 million to a children's hospital.
Ah, God damn it.
Yeah.
I mean, listen,
fuck him, though.
Listen, my life is more meaningless than anyone's life I'll ever talk about. All right, anyway.
Their careers are meaningless.
Yeah, their careers are meaningless. Yeah. So these 2 were the fucking rejects of the Blue Collar Comedy Tour who didn't... Larry the Cable Guy was famous for, like, I think 3 years. And
that seems about right.
Bill Engvall never really had fame. He was just stapled to the other 3. Because Ron White was probably the most successful comedian of all of them. And Jeff Foxworthy...
and the best one.
Yeah, he's actually kind of funny. Jeff Foxworthy is just... He leveraged that into fame. Like, somewhat...
Yeah, he's a TV personality.
Yes.
The kind of fame I don't care about. I'm sure he's fine at it, but I just don't care.
Exactly. So... Larry the Cable Guy had a couple different movies, but we're here to talk about only Delta Farce. I'm not talking about the rest of them because fuck that. Delta Farce.
He was in Sophie's Choice 2, Electric Boogaloo, wasn't he?
Yeah, as Sophie.
Yeah.
He had to choose between a fart and a Hooters joke with the 2 things he had to save.
Oh boy, it's a tough one.
I wonder how many
Fucking
of our
Hitler.
listeners know what Sophie's Choice is.
Go look it up. It's a comedy romp.
Delta Farce, 2007. IMDb currently has 3.6 stars. That's bad.
Pretty low. Yeah, it's low.
Even by Bowels of Netflix standards, that's bad.
Yeah, we usually come in above 4.
Rotten Tomatoes, the audience score of 38%, which that doesn't really surprise me that much. Tomato meter is a whopping 5%.
Wow. Probably 1 out of 20, right?
Which is rough. There's 44 critic reviews. And
okay,
I kind of
2 of them like
I kind of briefly glanced through them and didn't really see any good ones of any kind.
Yeah.
Now, I did say this. I wanted to start looking at Google reviews because I got sucked into a Google hole while reviewing Sunrise in Heaven because I didn't know these Google reviews for movies existed. I looked at these, and I think that probably some other podcast or YouTube video or something had some fucking joke that people were going to upgrade this thing because the Google reviews are almost perfect. There's 19 of them, and they're all 5 stars except for 1.
Interesting.
Yeah.
It's got to be a Bodie McBoatface internet
thing. Somebody's up to something there. So that's really, I've got nothing to... And they're like, regular people trying to be funny, which... Turn my nose up at that shit.
Or Larry the Cable Guy's just in his garage with a shotgun pointed at a Chinese hacker.
Jesus.
Type faster.
Hey, that voice is very accurate because that's basically what he fucking sounds like.
Oh, God.
So, yeah. let's see if I can find. I didn't look up the budget because I'm not a professional. Okay.
$200 million.
Doesn't look like I can see. I don't see the budget anywhere. I do have the box office though. If you, wow, what do you want to take a guess on what the worldwide gross of this movie is?
20 million?
8.7 million.
Ooh, that's low.
Yeah, the USA gross was 8.1. So worldwide, this movie made less than $1 million. Besides the United
Not popular
States.
overseas. Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah, you will. Yeah, once you get into this movie, boy howdy, will you? Yeah, I'm not seeing the budget anywhere, but I mean, I don't know. It could have been a lot. These three fuckers certainly are getting paid a lot. Okay, so that's really it for the background. I mean, I'm not going to really talk much about the blue collar comedy tour, except in the context of this movie. It's shitty redneck comedy that doesn't age well. And speaking of not aging well, boy, does Delta Farce not age well.
Oh God, I can't even imagine.
Oh well, don't worry. I've noted every time because in 2020 it does not hold up. So
I'm sure it didn't hold up then, but it can only be so much worse.
It was more accepted then, whether or not it held up. So, all right, you ready for this shit? You ready?
Oh,
Get your
God.
dick
No,
hole
I'm
blown
not.
out of your asshole. Get ready.
Yes.
Come on.
Yes, I'm ready. Let's go.
Come on. Get fired up. Tell your wife you love her.
Fire. No, I'm not gonna lie.
I'm gonna try to trick you into it, like how you can kind of trick people in a rally
Rabbit
into
season?
saying really
Yeah.
racist things. Oh wait, no, that's just racists. Oops, I forgot. Our country's dying. So we start with a generic general or something. I don't really know ranks, and it doesn't come up too much. He's giving a generic speech to a group of generic soldiers in a hangar or bunker or something. It's a relatively boring speech that ends with him asking for a hero. And because I live in hell, we cut immediately to Larry the Cable Guy asking the camera, did somebody order a hero?
Like the sandwich.
So Larry the Cable
Jesus.
Guy, and yes, before you ask, his name is in fact Larry in the movie, as well as being his name in comedy.
Titties. Jesus titties.
Is wearing a silly cowboy outfit and serving plates of food as he is a waiter at some southern restaurant in, like, the deep south somewhere. I'm sure they say it later and they'll tell me about it, but for now I don't know and I don't much care. I suppose before we get much further, I should take a minute to describe Larry the Cable Guy, someone with whom our audience is, I hope, no longer familiar. Larry the Cable Guy is a fat, dumpy moron. Yeah, that's honestly it. He's a fat, dumpy moron. And by the way, long story short, I hate the name Larry. This may confuse you for obvious reasons. I'm not explaining it because I don't have to. So for the remainder of this movie, I'm going to call him Fatso, because he's a big, fat, unfunny moron. A lot like myself, except I occasionally have flashes of intelligence, and at least my humor doesn't feel like it's being forced out through the anus of comedy. All right, so Fatso's serving food in this restaurant. You guys know me. You know that if I had the time, I'd hit on every single joke that comes up in the entire fucking movie. But considering it's one of those movies where we have a pair of comedians and Garth from Supernatural basically making a quote-unquote joke every time they open their stupid fucking mouths, I have to let a lot of it slide because it would just be endless joke after joke after joke after joke. And
Just be you doing a blue-collar stand-up routine.
Exactly. It'd be basically just me doing it. You're 100% correct. So... this has happened before. I don't remember the movie it happened in, but I had to do this before where I had to let a lot of stuff slide. And I want you to know that it hurts me to do that because I want to talk about everything and talk about it for 6 hours. But we're at the 14-minute mark, and I promise you this will be done in 17 minutes. So I gotta hurry the fuck up. So, please note the vast majority of all the jokes told in this movie are the wet fart of comedy, especially ones that are about wet farts. Wish I was kidding. I'm not. We know Isaac loves fart jokes, though, so maybe he should have fucking watched this piece of trash.
I do like fart jokes.
Well, you'll get them in spades. So Fatso's serving food. His girlfriend comes in to talk to him, telling Fatso that she's preggers. Fatso becomes so excited that he grabs the microphone of the restaurant and announces that the girlfriend is pregnant, offering the salad bar to be free for 1 hour in celebration, to the delight of his customers. During the celebration, he bends down on one knee and proposes to his girlfriend, all through the microphone. However, the girlfriend leans down upon Fatso's insistence and announces into the microphone that the baby is not, in fact, his. It's mine, Isaac. I'm the father. I did.
Oh, okay. Oh, well, fair enough. Congratulations.
So Fatso is bewildered. He says he doesn't understand what she means. A large woman in the back shouts, "It means she's got a bun in the oven that isn't yours. That isn't your recipe.
What?
Now is the salad bar still free?" And because she is a large woman, Fatso asks her, "Why do you care? Doesn't look like you've had a salad your whole life." And I was going to make a joke about this being classless when I realized that I'm literally calling the character making the weight joke Fatso, so I suppose in this case it is I who is Larry the Cable Guy. Also,
We're
upon
all
this
classless.
realization, I swallowed a cyanide pill, so if you're reading this review, this counts as both my final appearance on the bowels of Netflix and also my last will and testament. To Isaac Early, I leave the contents of my bowels at the time of my death. How's this high energy working? Is it doing good? Sounding good? Everything great? Sounding good?
You need another bump. Coke.
Isaac, I kind of want to do cocaine. I know
Probably
that
don't.
sounds like a bit. I kind of want to do cocaine.
There's fentanyl in it now. You'll die. Don't do it.
I've never done a single drug, but I've decided I want to do cocaine. I think I need it.
Just drink a lot of coffee.
I already do that.
Drink more.
Doesn't take the edge off anymore. So we cut to our blue-collar comedy tour reject, our second blue-collar comedy tour reject, Bill Engvall. To those of you who don't know Bill Engvall, yeah, neither do I. He had even less success than the other morons. Of the four comedy tour guys, he had the least amount of success that has made no splash on comedy in any discernible way. I went to Facebook and tried to get a description of what the Spice Girls were and the different personalities of the Spice Girls so that I could say that he's the Ginger Spice of the group or the Baby Spice of the group. But it turns out that the Blue Collar Comedy Tour does not translate very well into Spice Girls. So I'm going to call him the Ringo Starr of the Blue Collar Comedy Group, and that a talentless hack who had no reason to be there.
Maybe he's the only one who didn't beat his wife.
Now that I said the Children's Hospital thing, I feel bad for calling him a talentless hack, but I mean...
Larry Cable Guy is a Children's Hospital guy. Bill Engvall eats puppies.
Oh, wait, really?
Yeah.
Oh, they're talking about Bill... Oh, Bill Engvall. Yeah, no, he's probably a bastard.
Puppy eater. Goddamn.
Puppy eater. We're going to get arrested. I really I spent like half an hour trying to discern the Spice Girls thing and couldn't think of it.
You know what? The dynamic doesn't work is they don't have a black blue-collar comedy guy who's called Scary Blue-Collar. Watch out. He'll get you. He'll steal your purse.
Okay. Oh, by the way, Isaac, would you like to guess Bill's character's name in the movie?
Is it Bill?
It's Bill. It's
God
Bill,
damn.
Isaac. It's fucking Bill.
You didn't even go William. Damn it.
So Bill and his wife and kids live in a trailer park. We see Bill's two children beating up a mailman with golf clubs while Bill soaks his feet in a kiddie pool. Bill's wife comes out... What's that?
He thought this was a reality show, didn't he? It's just his real family.
Much like Snoop Dogg on Soul Plane, I don't think these guys knew the camera was running. Bill's wife comes out to yell at him and nag him about the kids, and they have what I'm going to call a good Southern argue. He has a vaguely funny little monologue about his life that is kind of the only funny thing in the movie, and only if you squint. And, of course, when I say funny, I mean feeling like the knife stabbing into my brain instead of stabbing into the meaty part of my thigh, as opposed to the lower base of my spinal cord, causing me to be paralyzed for life. But he has a little diatribe about how like his marriage is hell, and the camera's zooming in and his eyes are getting wider as he's describing the comfort a murder-suicide would bring him. It's like the only thing that made me kind of halfway smile in the entire movie, so I thought I'd at least point it out.
Fair enough.
Bill's role in this movie is as the straight man, more or less. He's still an idiot, but out of our three main characters, he's the one that the jokes get bounced off of, which maybe that was his role in the blue-collar comedy group, too. Hell if I know. That would at least explain how he had no career unless he was stapled to Fatso the Cable Guy.
True.
So we end in our third character, Everett, who is played by the same guy who is Garth from Supernatural. I've mentioned it before, I have a weird relationship with Supernatural, and that I'm 100% sure it's a bad show, and yet I've also watched 13 seasons of it more or less twice. The most I can say about Garth here is that he is, in fact, in Supernatural. And that's really all there is worth mentioning about him.
He's the super skinny guy, right?
He is the super skinny guy, yeah.
Okay, yeah. He's in a bunch of those like teen movies from the early aughts.
Probably,
like,
but I know him for Supernatural.
Road Trip or whatever.
I'm the one doing this fucking review. Yeah, I'm sure he has more of a career, but I mean, he's nobody recognized.
Oh, yeah, no. He was a small side character in like American Pie 3 or fucking whatever. I don't even know.
Have you seen American Pie 3?
Oh, yeah.
I have seen
the wedding one.
I've seen 0 American Pies.
The three that are actually movies and not like fucking what's his face. Eugene Levy just being creepy with kids. Those are fun.
Eugene
They're
Levy did
dumb, but
American
they're
Pie?
fun. Eugene Levy, yeah.
No, I didn't know that.
He's the dad.
Really? I haven't seen him.
He really sells the first movie. His interactions with his
Eugene
son
Levy's
about
great.
sex.
Have you watched Schitt's Creek?
No.
Show's fucking amazing. You should absolutely watch it.
No. Levy's really good.
Yeah, no, he's
just doing American Pie to make money. But.
It's written by him and his son, and they're both in it. It's really off the charts. It's definitely worth watching. 100%. Anyway, I'm talking about fucking Garth here. Garth is a weird, tall, skinny dude with a porn star mustache. As we are introduced to him, he is holding a crappy sex doll and watching pro wrestling while ordering a sex worker over the phone. His boss, the owner of the storage sheds, comes in to berate him as Garth is supposed to be the security guard and has instead started living in a storage shed. They argue for a minute, blah, blah, blah. We learned Garth is a weirdo. He was flashing women while holding a samurai sword, but it never really comes up again. So whatever. Why do I need to know? This high-energy thing was a bad idea.
Do another bump.
It was a bad idea. If I had cocaine, I would do it right now.
You can Uber Eats that, can't you?
Right now. All right, so we cut to our three characters arriving at the Army Reserve Center, where they are all reservists. An Army reservist, for those of you who may not know, are basically civilians who get military training and can perform limited military operations as needed. Basically, weekend warriors is the general catch-all term. I think nowadays they get used to squash civil liberties, or that might be the National Guard. I don't know, but who fucking knows? I have a problem with the armed forces. You talked about it before, blah, blah, blah. And I hate our government, regardless of what flavor a politician is greasing the wheels with human sacrifice. This fucking cycle. Anyway.
I remember that phrase.
While they have light banter in the parking lot or wherever, Larry bemoans that he will be spending the weekend, and I quote, with two retards. So let's take a second here to talk about these morons' sense of comedy in general. They're very cruel to the differently abled of all flavors.
Aww.
And that's going to keep coming up. And I'll keep pointing it out because let's make sure they don't have a career anymore because A, not funny, B, not needed. Not needed anymore.
Yeah.
It's that time has, first of all, the time never should have existed. Second of all, it doesn't need to keep existing. So let's just get rid of it. Let's fucking be done with it. So, back to our blue-collar comedy tour, blue-collar comedy movie. At the reserve base, Fatso and Bill are shooting the things that Fatso got for his now ex-girlfriend as a form of catharsis. We see that the base is in the Chattahoochee Reserve. That's the name of the base. I know precisely one fact about the Chattahoochee. Isaac, would you like to guess that fact?
It's on Earth.
The only thing I know about the Chattahoochee is that it gets hotter than a hoochie coochie. Whatever that means.
Well, that's a bold statement of scientific fact.
I love that you don't know what I'm talking about. That's great. Anyway, banter, nonsense. We go to an army base, like a real one, where a generic private and a generic sergeant or lieutenant or whatever have a brief exchange about the need for more men in Fallujah, Iraq, as at the time of this movie, we were still embroiled in the Iraq War. A war which surprised everyone by lasting for a very short time of... Wait, no, hang on. No, okay, I'm sorry. We're still in it. So, that's weird. That's weird. That's really weird. I didn't know that. Sorry,
20-year
everyone.
war. Nothing wrong with that.
So anyway, the Army decides to send a mysterious Sergeant Kilgore out to investigate the Chattahoochee base in order to
good name.
Drag men to send to Fallujah. I can't read my own writing, which I typed. It's just really incredible. So we cut to the Chattahoochee where it gets hotter than a hoochie coochie, and we see Fatso and Bill returning from Hooters, where they get the opportunity to make some pregnant Hooters girl jokes. The two men encounter Sergeant Kilgore, who is played by Keith David. For those of you who aren't familiar, Keith David he has a very weird career. He's not in a ton of things as himself, but he's in a lot of things as a voice actor. And for me, he is one of the holy trinity of voice actors of Morgan Freeman, Keith David, and then who's the guy who does I guess Archer?
Oh fuck, what's his name? John
Benjamin.
Purge. There we go.
Which I prefer. My favorite thing he's done is home movies, but yeah. Anyway, so Keith David, his voice, my God, you've heard it before because
I don't know him by name. What's some of his more notable roles?
He was in Pitch Black, The Chronicles of Riddick, Armageddon, Requiem for a Dream.
Yeah, okay.
He was in Community.
So I've definitely seen him.
You've seen him. You've definitely heard his voice. I'm positive because he's in a lot of things. I don't know the things you've seen that I could say that I'm pretty sure. He was in Rick and Morty. He's the president in Rick and Morty. That's the easy one. He's the president in Rick and Morty for anyone who's seen Rick and Morty. But he's in a lot of stuff. But his voice, my God, it's like one step down from Morgan Freeman. It's amazing.
It's a bold statement, sir, but I'll take your word for it.
Oh, believe me, you don't have to. It's not that far of a leap. It's amazing. He voiced like a fucking angel. So anyway, Kilgore starts checking out the place. Fatso points out, and I quote yet again, "It's nice. We're like a waterhead in a theme park around here. It's real comfortable." The best part about that humor is how well it holds up.
A waterhead in a theme park?
Yeah.
I don't get it.
I don't. Waterhead is like, it's a slur for having water on the brain, which leads to some form of. It's a thing that Larry the Cable Guy has always made jokes about that I've never really understood. But yeah, it's just more making fun of the differently abled.
Fun.
Mm-hmm. Fatso invites Kilgore to watch some unspecified game with them, but Kilgore starts shouting at them and giving them the typical drill sergeant routine, screaming in their faces while they blue-collar it up. Eventually, Garth comes back in with a bunch of beer, and Kilgore bundles them all up to the real army base to train in earnest. We get a shitty training montage here where we see that these three morons are not fit for anything even remotely resembling real work. I'm going to throw up.
A cloud of cocaine just came out of him.
In the bunks after their training, Garth and Bill complain about the weekend sucking, but accept that they'll at least be going home tomorrow. If you're wondering where Fatso went, first of all, what's fucking wrong with you? Second of all, you'll be pleased to learn that he is off taking a shit.
Oh, boy.
Kilgore comes in the middle of the night and wakes them up, telling them they're being activated and sent to Fallujah first thing tomorrow morning. I have many, many questions about the wisdom of the Army employing the reserve of 3 guys under the command of one seemingly brilliant sergeant who seems like he can be put to far better use than corralling these 3 morons.
I don't think that's how deployment works.
Yeah, anyway, he tells them they're going to die or whatever. The problem with this movie is that there's so many quick one-off gags. There's too much to talk about. I've mentioned that before, but again, it comes in here where they're like, it's every time they basically talk to Sergeant Kilgore, it's like a back and forth joke. And none of them are good. Literally none of them. Like, the only good joke is vaguely that one where, like, Bill goes into a trance talking about how his life sucks. And the rest of it's just, like, back and forth name calling or, like, very quick, like, physical gags. But it's nonstop. It's never ending. I get that's not unique, and it's not unique to the Blue Collar Boys, but when none of them are good, it really drags it down and makes it slower, which it doesn't need. It's not even that long a movie, and it feels very long. So as the boys prep to go to Fallujah, they bicker about Bill's nagging wife, which is just great. It's great comedy. As Kilgore berates them, for some reason they start singing Glory, Glory, Hallelujah, which I bring up mostly because it's still stuck in my fucking head. I can't get it out. We managed to sneak in a gay joke here, too, as Larry puts his hand on Kilgore's soldier, and Kilgore says, "We're don't ask and don't tell in this army, son." And this movie has aged like milk. So, on the plane, which is full of soldiers, everyone keeps trying to sleep while Garth babbles on about the different ways with which to kill a man. I did take notes, and with any luck, this is how I'll murder the 3 of them. All the soldiers wake up.
So he's a mall ninja.
Oh, I'm sorry. Fatso and Bill try to shut him up, but can't. So Fatso goes into the back of the plane to where there's a Jeep and lays down in the driver's seat to sleep. Bill and Garth lay down in the back as well, and we get a loud fart noise inside the Jeep. Isaac loves fart jokes.
I do. This sounds great.
Mm-hmm. Suddenly, and I do mean fucking suddenly, out of literal nowhere, a storm strikes the plane. All the soldiers wake up from the alarms, and Kilgore goes seeking the blue-collar idiots, starring Garth. Because of some ridiculous writing thing, the pilots have to dump the cargo, including the Jeep the boys are in. Kilgore, who is searching for them, gets a rope tangled around him and gets dragged down with them. Unfortunately for me, all the gear and the Jeep have parachutes attached, so they float gently down to Earth instead of crashing and exploding and killing them all.
You can't parachute a Jeep. It's too heavy.
I actually think you can. I think the Army does shit like that.
Jeep?
I'll be fair, I didn't look it up, but it was believable enough to me that, like, I didn't.
I'm gonna have to look this up after the show.
Yeah,
I'd parachute a Jeep.
I think I don't know, man. It's the Army. They got a lot of money. All right, so the next morning, the boys wake up.
So they haven't
They
woken up.
fucking wake up. They slept through all of that. Are you for real?
Jesus Christ. Even in like a ridiculous, the real life doesn't matter because it's a comedy. This is a little over the top.
You missed out on the opportunity for them to do fucking falling to their death gags, but whatever. I guess they had enough material. Anyway, they wake up in the middle of the desert. Fatso starts freaking out and tries to wake up the other two boys while semi-racist music plays. Bill and Garth are spooning in the back seat in order to provide us with another "don't ask, don't tell" joke because, can't get enough of that. They're in the middle of a desert with a bunch of their gear scattered around. Garth manages to destroy their only functioning radio. While searching the supplies, they find the body of Kilgore splayed out in the desert. Of course, they don't check for a pulse and simply just bury him in the desert, so later we get to see him crawl out of his grave, of course.
Oh my God.
Fatso says a prayer over the grave while Garth pees in a bottle in case they have to drink their own urine. The boys load up.
Don't do that. That's not,
The boys
actually not good.
No, you don't drink your own piss. The boys load up
Even
their
in an
gear
emergency.
and a bunch of guns, tape an American flag to the front, and put a gas, grass, or ass bumper sticker on the back before driving out in the desert to look for terrorists.
Yeehaw!
And we also get a patented "Get Her Done" from Fatso because I'm in hell.
Get her done.
Which, for those of you who aren't aware,
done.
"Get Her Done" is Larry the Cable Guy's signature fucking joke.
What does it mean?
Get it done. I don't know,
Get her
man.
done.
I don't fucking know.
Is it reference like pussy or just completing a task?
No, it's just a catchphrase. It doesn't mean anything. It's like it's how he punctuates. It's how "Get Her Done" is his signature. This is not a joke. It's how he signs off on a joke.
Okay, because he doesn't know how to write his own name. So, like, when he has to sign a check, he just whispers "Get her done" on the check.
He is almost assuredly a multimillionaire.
Oh, yeah. He has a 180-acre ranch in Utah.
I struggle to stay alive.
You need a catchphrase.
This fart's for you.
There you go.
How's that?
Say that all the
something?
time.
Is that anything?
Yes.
I'm going to work.
You're going places.
I'm going to spend the rest of this episode working on catchphrases. Boy. Oh, God. I need a bump so bad. As they drive away, we see they have landed on a sign proclaiming that it's only 500 kilometers until they arrive in Mexico City. Because, of course, they're in Mexico.
Right.
Isaac, where is Mexico compared to the United States of America? The Chattahoochee's in, like, it starts in Georgia and goes kind of towards Texas. So it's somewhere in that range. Where is Mexico compared to there?
West, so they were flying in the wrong direction.
Yes, so, because Iraq would be to the east, unless you're going through Russia or China.
Yeah,
both of which are,
and it's not even like
pretty big.
It's not even like exactly on the other side of the world. Like you could go either way. It's definitely closer on the east.
To get from anywhere on the Chattahoochee River to Iraq you would not go anywhere close to Mexico.
Jesus Christ!
It's just
why couldn't they just set it like in Arizona, where it's believable? Fuck, come on, man.
I don't know. I really don't. So the Delta Farce gets to like a little abandoned gas station and find a big mural of someone that I'm like 98% sure is Pancho Villa, who's a famous revolutionary general. Of course, the Delta Farce instead think that it's Saddam Hussein, famous Iraqi terrorist / president or something. That, or they think he is quote-unquote Rugburn, the quote red dot, not tomahawk Indian who works down at the Circle K. Again, this movie has aged like milk, but some...
Red dot, not tomahawk.
Yeah.
Oh, whoa.
Some part of me does love when these reviews write themselves. I don't have to fucking do anything. I just have to yell. So we get a scene here with them eating MREs, meals ready to eat, involving chaw jokes and fart jokes because that's...
Hey, my favorite.
Yeah, it is your favorite. Because guess what, Isaac? The fucking spaghetti goes right through Fatso. It makes him poop. And when he poops, he farts
a bunch. Yay. That sounds great.
Eventually, they, quote, get lost. You're looking at an Iraq map while they're in Mexico. They come across a pair of Mexican men and their donkey. Garth was a fucking psychopath, shoots the donkey, seemingly dead, and the Delta Farce
Jesus
take
Christ.
the two men prisoner. Fatso decides he will communicate with them as he is allegedly a skilled interrogator. And how do you interrogate someone you don't speak their language, Isaac?
Say get her done.
No, you shout very loudly at them, which is how most people who don't speak another language besides English communicate with non-English speakers.
Good God.
So yeah, something weird about this movie. I have to assume this is an error of some kind because it's very, very mishandled. They don't translate any of the Spanish at all. And I think it's probably supposed to be because it seems like that's occasionally has jokes in it based on the reactions the Mexican people are having or the Delta Farce are having to them. So I think it's supposed to be translated, and maybe Netflix isn't. But if it's not, what the fuck are you doing? I mean, it's just I don't understand.
Or they were just going for like sight gags with the not being able to understand each other.
No, they
but
never.
They were terrible.
It's not that because they
gags.
don't do anything like that.
Huh.
They don't like.
Maybe
they
they're just so
play
bad
off
at doing
of
it.
So yeah,
It's a terrible movie, is what you're saying.
yes, yeah, of course. My high school Spanish isn't good enough to keep up with the whole thing, so I don't really get the back and forth very much. I get a couple words and phrases, but not enough to make sense of it. It kind of feels like the two guys are making jokes on the Delta Farce's behalf. We never really get them. But anyway, Fatso gets the point across that they're American soldiers here to bring them freedom and democracy. Oh, and by the way, the donkey's alive. Because I guess Garth missed. So, Meanwhile, in the midst of the desert, Sergeant Keith David Kilgore bursts out from his grave and realizes they're in Mexico immediately, before accidentally drinking some of Garth's piss and storming off into the desert like something I'm going to call a furious tornado. He's also a large, scary-looking black man, so it's his physical gags are at least vaguely amusing, because, like, watching him, like, angrily stomp through the desert is kind of funny, because he looks like a gigantic, terrifying baby while he's, like, stomping through the dust, so.
Muscle-bound guys in comedies generally tend to work enough. Yeah.
He's very comfortable in his body, and it shows. So the Delta Farce arrives at the men's village and find it overrun with marauders who are seemingly raping and pillaging. Garth notes that he thinks they're Fedayeen, which is a catch-all term for Arabic guerrilla fighters. Fatso, of course, uses this opportunity to mention how he had some Fedayeen, which, of course, gave him the shits. Because why wouldn't it?
Poopies.
Because he says to one of the men he has irritable bowel syndrome. Yeah, of course. We also get the running joke of Fatso not knowing the Army's motto and Bill correcting him, a running gag which starts bad and never gets funnier. He keeps saying, you know what they say in the Army, and then he says the Air Force motto and the Greyhound bus line motto and like a soup ad, and it never gets funny. Fatso sees a sexy Spanish mamacita in the crowd of oppressed townsfolk and plans to launch an attack to save the town to Bill's reluctance. They prepare to drive into the melee, with Garth putting a Wagner CD into the Army-branded CD player, ? Wagner. Like Ride of the Valkyries. I think that's Wagner, isn't it?
I think so, yeah.
I could be wrong. Well, yeah.
I'm pretty sure it's right, because the Nazis were all up in
Wagner's
business.
If you don't know what I'm talking about, Ride of the Valkyries, you've heard it. Yeah, okay. Fatso poo-poos this, however, instead opting to play Jerry Reed's Eastbound and Down, made famous by the movie Smokey and the Bandit. And I must admit, despite my general hatred of country music, I do fucking love Eastbound and Down. And of course, it's been stuck in my head ever since the first time I watched this fucking movie. And even if you hate country, it's worth listening to because it's fucking Eastbound and Down. Anywho, the boys ride into battle. The battle? Bill fires the truck-mounted machine gun haphazardly towards the bandits while Garth rolls out and fires wildly, and Fatso drives the truck into a wall. All the three idiots do is manage to scare the bandits off and destroy a good chunk of the town with their haphazard shooting. Fatso manages to nab a prisoner, and the townsfolk all come out to celebrate the Delta Farce's victory. This includes the sexy mamacita, who favors Fatso with a tender kiss upon his fat cheek. This is the review that's actually going to kill me. My insistence upon cocaine energy is going to be the death of me.
Oh, that was a long line, Larry. Jesus.
Ah.
Just snorted it like off an entire yardstick.
Oh, man. Back in the desert, Sergeant Keith David Kilgore comes across the gas station the boys were at earlier. He accidentally eats some of Fatso's spit-out tobacco leavings before a pair of gangbangers roll up in a lowrider. Nice. There's some kind of exchange, again, not translated, and they agree to take Kilgore with them in their car. This, not translated, is going to be important here in a second because you'll see. At the village, Fatso and the others make themselves comfortable. Bill finds out there's no phones to be found in town, so they still have no way to call in their quote-unquote reinforcements. Fatso says that a couple of days ago he had more problems than a Cub Scout at the Neverland Ranch, but now he feels like he's found his true calling. And again, in this case, I suppose that one has technically aged correctly, given what we now know about Michael Jackson, who married a child. So,
it's a diddler.
I'll give you that one, Larry the Cable Guy, you fuck. More banter and crappy jokes before the boys are invited to a celebration in their honor. This is quite possibly the most Mexican party that's ever been thrown, but of course Fatso and Bill don't put the pieces together, even after being served tacos while being serenaded by a mariachi band.
Good Lord.
Sexy.
Are there piñatas?
What's that?
Are there piñatas?
I think they are. Yeah, there are piñatas. Yes.
Okay.
Sexy Mamacita introduces herself as Maria and brings her father, the mayor, to meet them. Obvious sexual tension between Maria and Fatso is obvious. Garth is interrogating the prisoner while wearing a homemade sniper suit so that Fatso can come in and call him, and I quote, a retarded Chewbacca. While the two idiots interrogate the bandit, he eventually realizes the two of them think that they're in Iraq. Suddenly, as Fatso runs through the tent... Wait, no. Okay, my brain just stopped for a second. What are we doing? Where am I? Is this about Netflix? Fuck. I read...
We're reviewing Leo the Lion. It's episode 9.
All right, so the elephant's a Nazi. And he's fucking trying to kill this vegetarian lion. And the heart of the jungle is inside of you all along. Okay, you know, I ever hear the theory that there's like a sequence of words you can say that just stop your brain? I think I said it.
Did you?
Because this is not a joke. Legitimately, in the middle of reading this paragraph, I forgot how to read. I stared at the next sentence and realized I didn't know how to read it. Okay. So what was the last thing I said? Okay, he's interrogating. All right, so they're interrogating the bandit, and the bandit realizes that, wow, good God. The bandit realizes that the two of them think that they're in Iraq. So Fatso runs through town to find Bill, and realization strikes him that they're actually in fucking Mexico and not Iraq. He bemoans the fact that they're technically invading Mexico right now. Bill and Garth explain to Fatso that technically, since the bandits assaulting the town were terrorists by the legal U.S. definition, they are technically fighting in the war on terror and should just kind of hang out until somebody in the army figures it out to go get them. Oh, and Garth also finds an old Napoleonic cannon that he just starts playing with.
So how much time do they spend thinking it's Iraq in the movie?
Probably from the time they land till the time they figure it out, probably 25, 30 minutes.
Okay, I thought that was going to be like the entire movie.
I thought, when I saw this, when we talked about it last week, I thought that it was going to be, like at the end of the movie, the U.S. government was like, you've been in Mexico the whole time, son. But no, in fairness, they figure it out relatively quickly. You know, probably
interesting.
They probably figure it out by the halfway point of the movie.
Curious what the rest of the plot's going to be. Probably really good.
Fatso and Maria bond and have a romantic walk while they discuss the situation in their lives. Maria tells Fatso that the banditos, her word, not mine, are led by a fearsome man named...
El Guapo!
Carlos Santana.
What?
Carlos Santana is the name of the evil bandit leader. Not a joke.
Is it actually Carlos Santana?
That would be too good. Although...
he's just playing a guitar that's got like a machine gun in it.
In fairness... we actually cut to the Santana compound where we learn that Carlos Santana is played by Danny Trejo. Now,
okay,
Danny Trejo, for those of you who aren't aware, plays the stereotypical Mexican badass character in basically everything he's ever appeared in.
Yes.
Look up a picture you've most likely
Mexican. Oh yeah, he's a cool dude.
Yes, he's a very cool dude. He was like, I was reading about him because I didn't know the stuff he was in. He's famously Machete or whatever you fucking say it, which was, I think, to cut back to a couple of weeks ago with Robert Rodriguez in Shorts. He's related to Robert Rodriguez. They're cousins or something. And he's played in he was in Spy Kids is how he got his start, because Danny Trejo was a criminal. He spent he was in jail like 5 times, and then he just became an actor later in life. But he seems like a really cool guy, and I was reading about it. He said he's became an actor. He said something like everything good that happened to him in his life happened because of him helping somebody else. Like, I think there was like a car accident that he like rolled up to and like saved the lives of the people in.
Oh yeah.
Like,
I've heard that.
He's a genuinely super cool dude, and he's a fun actor, and he plays a good stereotypical Mexican gangster, which is basically what he always does. Again, you've probably seen him before. He's a relatively famous star. He's had a long career too. So anyway, in the compound, the goons drag up a beat-up white comedian with a weird-looking puppet while he tells ventriloquist jokes using the puppet. This is the villain's compound, by the way. The comedian and the puppet, he's like ventriloquizing. It looks like a fucking pickle with a stereotypical Mexican face wearing a sombrero is the puppet. The puppet tells
a bunch. Jeff Dunham, is it?
What's that?
It's not Jeff Dunham, is it?
It might be, actually. I don't know what Jeff Dunham looks like.
I think he's got a sombrero pickle. I mean, he's got a lot of like questionably racist puppets.
Oh, it was Jeff Dunham.
They're like,
well, I'll tell you what. It was Jeff Dunham. Oh, it was Jeff Dunham. That makes sense why it wasn't funny at all. Oh, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah, that's okay. Oh, everything's coming together now. Yeah, no, Jeff Dunham's a very unfunny puppet comedian.
Yeah, he might be funny if you're 12 and dumb.
Wow, I didn't even think to put that together. But yeah,
as soon as you said ventriloquist, I was like, it's got to be him.
Yeah, I'm trying to forget about him, I guess. So anyway, the pickle puppet tells a bunch of racist jokes, and Carlos Santana blows his nose off with a pistol. So yeah, well, I was about to compliment his skill. I'll give him credit. He's a very talented ventriloquist. Because
he's talented. He's not funny.
You have to squint to see that his fucking throat is moving at all. Very talented. I'll give him that. No, he's terribly unfunny. Also, speaking of racism, he might be the leader of racist comedians.
Yeah, it's a little.
Every bit he has basically is racist.
Yeah.
One of the goons shares a scene with Santana here where he tells him about the Delta Farce. Santana decides that it's karaoke night and ends up singing "I Will Survive" in front of his goons. And again, Danny Trejo's a great actor, and like he could have been funny here because the jokes are almost there if only they were written better. But like, he does his best with what he's got. I'll give him that.
You can only do so much when they give you sawdust to chew.
Right. The next morning, Fatso regroups with the other Delta Farce boys. Farce. He says he decided they'll stick around and protect the village while they're waiting for the army to show up and chew them out. We get a montage here of the Delta Farce helping to rebuild the village up to its former glory, using every redneck trick in the book. This includes turning the local tavern into a Casa de Hooters. Casa de Hooters.
I mean, I like me some titties, but come on.
Why aren't you laughing? That was funny.
House of Hooters.
Yeah, anyway. They go back out to the desert to pick up some medical supplies that got dumped off in the plane with their Jeep. They discover that Keith David's grave has been dug up. Speaking of which, we see in a random shack in the middle of nowhere, the 2 men who picked Kilgore up in the desert are thrown out through the door in the window while a screaming Kilgore emerges in lipstick and a frilly red negligee. Again, the fact that him getting picked up was like not translated at all just kind of makes this seem like, okay, well, they gonna rape him? Or like what was the plan here? It's like the joke was not set up at all. Because these 2 guys like roll up to him in the desert. He's like, hey, amigos, can I have a ride? And then they have a conversation in Spanish, not translated, and not obvious what it is. And then they're like, yeah, get in the car. And then he gets in the car, and then the next scene is he's wearing fucking negligee lipstick, throwing them out a window. Like, You skipped part B. You went to from A to C.
Yeah. You either needed to translate what they're saying or have, like, the two bandits give each other, like, a knowing glance.
Right. They do. There's
like,
none
yeah. Here's an opportunity to put a man in negligee and play with his butt.
Also, if they, like, he throws the two guys, like, one out the window, one out the door with, like, their pants around their ankles. He is able to easily overpower them. How did it get this far to the point where he's wearing the negligee and has the lipstick on before realizing they intended to fuck him? Like, I don't know. He takes off on a motorcycle, and if he was smart, went directly to his agent's office where he promptly fired them and beat them within an inch of their lives. Back in the village, Bill is tinkering with the radio, trying to fix it when the bartender tells him, why don't you use a phone? Because there's a phone, like, in the middle of the desert, I guess. I don't know. So he drives out to the middle of nowhere where there's randomly a phone in the desert. We get another 3 minutes of Bill's wife is a nag jokes while he's on the phone, telling her he's accidentally in Mexico. And while he's there, suddenly the line is dead because the Carlos Santana and goons have appeared on the scene to take him prisoner. In the truck back to the compound, Santana is trying to interrogate Bill, who won't crack. However, a large, flamboyantly gay man brushes a fan on Bill's face while Santana tells him that Ruben likes him. So, we get a weirdly kind of woke and kind of not woke scene about homosexuality here. So...
I'm intrigued.
So, yeah, like they've got Bill Engvall at gunpoint in the back of this truck. And Santana, so Danny Trejo and Ruben, his gay nephew, are, like, leaning over him. And he, like, Ruben they make jokes that he's obviously gay. And Bill says to Santana, like, I'm surprised a man of your stature allows such an alternative lifestyle on your men. And Santana has this whole, like, what the fuck are you talking about? Like, you can't fire somebody just for being gay. I mean, what's wrong with you? What's wrong with him? He's a human being. He's here. He's queer. Get used to it. But then then he's like, I'm going to give you to him as a husband. So the homosexuality is a punishment for Bill. So it's like, okay, you were woke, but then you've ruined it.
Waking up is a process.
Yeah, I mean, it was for a second like, okay, that seems out of... Oh, there we go. There it is. You're still going to have him fuck him. Got it. Okay. All right, so the goons roll into town. Santana starts threatening the town before being confronted by Fatso. Santana reveals that Bill called his wife instead of reinforcements, so we get that fun story. In a shockingly very clever exchange, while Fatso is staring down the entire gaggle of goons, Santana says, what are you going to do, kill us all yourself? And Fatso says, nope, I just need to kill you. And Santana stops and says, shit, I hadn't thought of that, which was weirdly very clever, and I did appreciate it. And I feel weird for appreciating that, but,
it's not bad.
I was clinging to scraps. Anyway, in the middle of this standoff, Kilgore arrives. All of a sudden, he's back in his army gear, so I guess he just stopped in the middle of the fucking desert to change. I'm not sure the point of putting him in the negligee and the lipstick in the first place, but what do I know about comedy? Kilgore blows up Fatso's bluff that reinforcements are coming right around the corner, so the goons appear to have the upper hand when Garth emerges from a barn holding a bazooka. Fatso tries to take it from him because Garth is a moron, but he accidentally fires it and blows up the formerly dry well, causing water to spring back out from it and spook off the goons. But the goons do manage to capture the Sarge and take him with them, while the Delta Force reluctantly agree to mount a half-cocked rescue attempt to save him.
The goons are scared of water?
No, it's like the explosion is gigantic. The well was like an unintended side effect. There was a scene where the well was, like, when they were fixing up the town, where the well was dry, and, like, that's them, like, oh, further proof you are our saviors, senors. But, like, it's a gigantic, like, the bazooka explosion is probably more than a real bazooka would explode. If
That is what Mexico needs, the white man.
Well, according to fucking Fatso, the Campbell guy, they do. At the Goons compound, it's apparently wrestling night. The three Delta Farcers each find different ways to sneak in. Bill has a variety of shitty disguises that keep magically working, while Fatso simply climbs up a fence to comedically fall down on his ass a couple of times. Garth ends up as the opposing wrestler in the match, but we'll get to that in a minute. Meanwhile, the Sarge is getting tortured by being forced to sing Sonny and Cher along with Ruben, the gay bandito, under the threat of death. And they're singing, "Babe, I've got you, babe." Yeah, whatever.
All right.
Garth manages to disguise himself as some weird leopard print wrestler and fight the gigantic wrestler in the ring. Weirdly, for maybe the first time in the world, the wrestler in the ring is nobody of consequence. Despite the fact that thousands of unemployed wrestlers starve on the streets like cats every year, they didn't manage to hire one for this fucking movie somehow. Could name 50 wrestlers in 2007 who needed work.
I'm picturing Chris Jericho eating a pigeon.
He donates to Trump
in an alley somewhere. Oh yeah, he's looking a little rough.
He looks like a clown that's melted. I don't know what's happened to him. Something's wrong with him. I don't know.
That rock star lifestyle, man.
Is it though?
I don't know.
Anyway, the wrestling match is nothing special. Garth manages to win and unmasks himself in victory. Of course, as Garth is a white man and not a Mexican bandito, his cover is immediately blown. He's about to be blown away. Oh, by the way, all these guys are white, except for the Delta Farcers are white, except for Keith David.
Really?
Yeah, Larry the Cable Guy, Bill Engvall, and Garth are all fucking white. So
I'm shocked.
So Garth is about to get
I thought Bill Engvall was Chinese.
He really is, yeah. It makes the racial component of this movie very odd. Garth is about to get blown away when Fatso appears again. We basically get the same standoff scene as before with the same line before about only needing to kill Santana. Hey, turns out it's not as funny the second time.
Yeah, it's a one-off joke.
Yep. It was fine once. So outside, Bill and Kilgore have blown up all the goons' jeeps and drive up in their own jeep to help Fatso and Garth escape. Santana demands the goons bring out Big Bertha and claim that they will destroy the town. Back in said town, Kilgore preps the troops to leave and head back to America, but Fatso insists on staying. He gives them a pep talk about freedom and democracy and implores the rest of the Delta Farcers to help them out. He manages to convince all of them to help fight, and just in time, because the Santana gang arrives on horseback with an old U.S. Army surplus tank and begins laying waste to the town. Thus begins the final conflict between the Mexican banditos and the Delta Farce. Isaac, would you care to guess how many people will die in this entire exchange?
0.
Try again.
-4.
That's right. 4 women give birth in the middle of it.
Square root of -1. Imaginary numbers. I don't know.
The answer is 1.
80?
The answer is 1.
Oh, okay.
So.
Is it fucking Trejo?
No.
Oh. It's Larry the Cable Guy.
Oh, if only.
Twist. This was directed by M. Night Shyamalan.
Save it. I know you're excited. So this movie, which is ostensibly about 4 soldiers versus a gang of vicious Mexican banditos shooting at each other the entire time, has no deaths via gun.
What was it rated? PG? PG-13?
They use shit a lot.
13, okay. Yeah, okay. That's probably partly why, you can get pretty violent in PG-13, I guess, right?
I mean, nobody even gets shot, really. Not even, flesh. One person gets a flesh wound, and one guy dies, and, not even... He might live. He might be alive. We'll get to it. We'll just keep going. So, yeah. The tank is making mincemeat out of their defenses, but Fatso manages to pull the old Napoleonic cannon that Garth has been playing with on and off in scenes this entire movie into the street under heavy fire and blows up the tank. So,
of course,
the guy in the tank, I think, is dead. I think. They don't show him die.
Sense.
I also think that Fatso manages to block a bullet with his biceps, but I'm not sure if that's intentional or just an error.
No.
They don't. It's not like he flexes and deflects the bullet. It's more like there's a bullet pinging animation off his bicep. But I think that might be a mistake.
At least do a bullet catch. If you're gonna make that gag, do the bullet catch thing.
I don't think it's an intentional gag.
Yeah.
But I did notice. And I'm like, did that
editing.
fucking just bounce off his bicep? Yeah. So the the villains are chased off as the townsfolk decide to stand up to Santana and protect their village. However, in all the chaos, Santana manages to kidnap Maria. Fatso goes to confront him. Maria manages to get away. Fatso and Santana are in another standoff when suddenly the gun is shot out of Santana's hands by a soldier on a helicopter because the U.S. Army has arrived to save the day.
Yay, Uncle Sam.
So the aftermath. Bill got shot in the ass, but he's fine.
Of course, yes.
The Army tells Bill that his wife continuously called the Pentagon over and over until they sent soldiers down to rescue them just so they could shut her up because women be nagging.
They be tripping, yo. Stay in our hearts and minds, women. We love you.
Keep them on the floor where they belong, right, Isaac?
Well, just this one.
The government sanctions the actions of the Delta Farce by smoothing things over with the Mexican government. We cut back to the scene that opened the movie with the generic general giving a speech about heroes. He hands out medals to the sergeant and the 3 Delta Farcers. We get a Where Are They Now as we see Sergeant Kilgore goes on to open a boot camp workout studio. Garth goes on to become a masked Mexican wrestler named Carne Asada. Bill goes on to sue the Mexican government for damages sustained to his ass and ends up living in a gigantic mansion in Beverly Hills where he soaks his feet in the fountain. Fatso gets offered a position in Washington, but instead opens up a cantina in Mexico along with Maria, to whom he is now married. Santana goes on to rehabilitate himself and then perform the same ventriloquism show as apparently Jeff Dunham, but much shittier with the same ventriloquist dummy, because he's not a ventriloquist.
What is this? This is ridiculous.
And the movie fades out over bloopers and some impromptu dance scenes of people dancing to Oye Como Va, a song by the real Carlos Santana. Another song which, if you play it, will get stuck in your head.
What is the end of this movie?
This happened. This happened. There's nothing to say about this movie. It happened. It exists.
Good God.
It aged terribly. The jokes were bad. There were some good actors in this movie. Keith David, solid actor. Danny Trejo, more than solid actor, I would say. The blue-collar guys suck. Everyone else's acting is fine, but there was no writing worth a single fuck to be had anywhere in this entire movie. I admit I liked the, I didn't think of that joke when they had their standoff, but that was a joke worth a smile, not a chuckle. There's no takeaways. There's nothing to be had out of watching this movie. There's no joy to be found. There's nothing. It just exists. I'll grant that, and this is solely a product of the bowels of Netflix, I can appreciate that this movie is coherent. It has a plot you can follow very easily from beginning to end. Doesn't make sense that they fucking fly from the United States to Mexico to get to Iraq, but beyond that, like, it has a very coherent thread of start to finish. There's not, I don't know, I feel like the last 25 movies I've watched have been very, there's something about the plot just, like, utterly makes no sense.
Right.
This, at least, like, it's very cut and dry in that regard. There's no finagling I have to do trying to figure out what the fuck is going on.
No time manipulation.
No. So that is a bowels of Netflix only note from me. Is that compared to other movies I've watched for this show, I'll give it's got at least that going for it. It's a dumb movie, dumb premise, racistly executed, with a pair of shitty comedians who had no career to start, no careers to speak of now. 2 out of 10, never again.
You said Larry the Cable Guy did a couple other movies before this, right?
He did, yeah. I know he did.
Trying to find those.
I know he did Health Inspector.
Oh, God.
I know there's others. I think he's like, he's in another, like, he's the Tooth Fairy 2.
Right.
The first Tooth Fairy starred Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson and is easily his worst movie by his own admission. And yeah, Larry the Cable Guy was the Tooth Fairy 2. Which is quite possibly the worst stepping down of an actor in the history of a franchise.
How is it not called the Tooth Fairy 2-2?
How is it not called the Tooth Fairy? The Tooth Fairy.
See, we need Hollywood. Come get us. We're ready. We're ready for the big time. We're going to take the world by storm.
I want to die.
Speaking of taking Hollywood by storm, I have a great story next week about M. Night Shyamalan.
Yeah, I think next week's going to be a real treat.
He's a fucking clown, that man. Oh my God.
And
he's a fucking clown.
We just did a movie starring 2 fucking clowns. And yeah, but M. Night Shyamalan, oh boy.
Oh God, it's going to be hot, it's going to be wet, it's going to be bendy. Not even hard enough to jelly it in his ass.
Jesus
I don't know, man. I'm like 3 jokes deep. Stop me.
God.
Yeah, any other thoughts for Delta Farce, or?
No! Are you serious? No! What else do you say? It sucks.
I'd like a cogent analysis.
I gave you a cogent analysis. What more do you want from me?
All right, well, that was the Bowels of Netflix. Thank you so much for listening. We love you, and we like you. We like us in your ears. That's how it is.
Yes.
So keep putting us in your ears. Make sure to stay tuned for next Sunday's episode. The Airbender?
The last Airbender.
Right, the last Airbender. I don't want to do it.
I forgot my catchphrase.
What?
I forgot my catchphrase.
Oh, farts in your socks? It was something farts.
God damn it. I know it had fart
Fart
in it.
knocking since 1990.
God damn it. I should fucking find a marketable catchphrase with which to use as a signature to make millions of dollars and have a shitty career and
Should
die
involve
rich.
beard.
What's that?
Should involve beard.
Okay. What you got for me?
Beard and butter?
Beard?
I don't know. I don't got nothing. I got nothing, man. I'm coming up dry.
I'm gonna workshop this.
All right, yeah, we'll come back next week. We'll be good. In the meantime, send us an email, bowelsofnetflix@gmail.com. Hit us up on Facebook, on Twitter. We're the only Bowels of Netflix in your life. If you find another one, we'll fucking find you and we'll hit you.
Beat it to death. I'm gonna curb stomp any other Bowels of Netflix out there.
We will win. Rate and subscribe, set it to download, all that fun stuff. Keep listening, tell your friends if they're terrible people and they like terrible podcasts. Anything else?
No. I don't think so. I mean, what else do you say?
I think that's it. All right, stay tuned. We'll be in your feed next week. We love you.
Smell you later like a fart in your socks. Shit.
See, it works. It's good.